All right, so this is Own It Natural Design Hot Seat. We've got Karlene here on the hot seat. And I'm just going to read out her natural design. It's also posted in Facebook, although I think there's one edit. Two little edits. So we've got, for the gifts, we've got 5, 6, and 11. Whenever you have an 11, you always want to put a /2, which I didn't explain in the videos. So, so /2. So you also have a 2 in here.
Yes.
Then the next one's 9, 4, and then I am almost certain that your key gift number 6 is 3 instead of 4.
3. Okay, because it said I have here Life Path 4 Childhood Challenge 3.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh, so it's actually the challenge I should put, not the life path.
Well, the life path is number 5, or key gift number 5 is 4, but then key gift number 6 is 3. So
okay.
Whenever you put your numbers, it's like 5, 6, 11/2, 9, 4, 3, and 1.
Yeah. So I have one of each number.
Oh, you do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, you don't have a 7 and an 8, but you cover quite the range. Yeah, yours are more spread out than others. That's for sure. Holy. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, that's a good thing.
Well, all of us, you know, everyone has their own unique everything. So there's no good or bad. We just got what we got. The reason I call it natural design is because we're designed this way. We can't really help it, you know, like, so yeah, there are some downsides to say having 4 3s, for example, but then there's also some epic gifts. So when you have more of the, when you're covering more of the range, that typically means there's more of a balance of gifts because you can understand so many different energies. So so it's not as focused. Like, for example, I have 3 5s. Well, that's pretty intense. Like, that's a lot of creativity and transformation in one person. So it just, you know, it's not like it's better or worse. It's just different, which is cool. We're all how we're meant to be. And it's nice to have a little insight into what that is. Cool. So I'd love to start off by just getting your intention for the hot seats, and this is going to be the last one for a little while because we're going to be doing some live Zoom calls on the different alignment traps, which I'm super excited to share about because it's very illuminating. I think we kind of realize there are alignment traps on some level, but it's going to be really awesome to have them super clear right in front of you so you can watch for them, so you don't go out of alignment. So for this one, we've got Karlene, and how we do these hot seats is you can choose a focus or an area or a specific challenge that you can bring, and I will look at your natural design and we'll see what comes through. And the intention is that whatever comes through benefits anyone who's here live or watching the recording. So, and that's typically how I express is I'll address you directly, Karlene, and also if there's anything that comes through for kind of everyone, then we'll let that come as well. Okay, cool. So what, do you have a specific challenge or intention that's coming to mind?
Around my business?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, in a nutshell, I help people, I call them Zoomers and Boomers, people in their 40s and 50s, to become clear on who they are and what they want so that they can do what they are.
Yeah.
But I'm not a career coach. So I just, So basically, I guess it's more around my business model. I don't know if this is the right call, but I guess it's around my business model, the way I'm running it now. I would like to know if it's suitable based on my profile. Basically, I give them this long assessment. I break it up into 6 sections. And then in the end, I tell them to go drink a glass of wine, and I'll just sit down and I put everything together, this big, complex, massive amount of information together, and I come up with something. So far, I'm very accurate. All my clients have been very happy so far. I'm wondering, I guess I have some fear around, I have fears around putting myself out there. I don't know why. Like, I'm really excited about this model that I've created for myself. You know, I dreamed up the whole thing. And I guess I'm turned off by the fact that I have to, I guess, market one-to-one. Like, you know, I'm just exploring Instagram, and I've identified a midlife coach, and I'm afraid to make the first move. It's like I don't know what to say. because it's like I don't feel like, I mean, she's a high level coach, and I don't feel, I guess, because I'm just in the beginning stages of this, I guess I don't feel up to snuff to approach her to, I guess, give a little talk on becoming clear on who you are so that you can figure out where you can do what you are. I guess that's where my challenge is. And so basically I've created this model, and I'm wondering if it's suitable for me based on my profile, if I should be doing something more intense or less intense, or the way I've described it, where, you know, I give them the assessment, they do it, I tell them to go off and then 2 weeks later I come back with the result. I give them a full profile, 10 to 20 pages with everything, because I'm Enneagram 5 and I flood people with information.
As am I.
Yeah, you're 5 too? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So but I love doing this. And then I give them sort of support. I'm just opening up office hours where they can book 20 minutes with me. And I have a little newsletter where I give little tips as I go along.
Yeah.
And that's basically the whole business in a nutshell.
Okay, so then do they sign up for like ongoing support afterwards?
Well, that's the problem with me. I don't like talking on the phone with people, but
and you don't have to.
yeah, so it's like I just want them to go off and, like, I give them a profile, go off and just do it. But I know that, you know, like right now I have a client who she needs a lot of hand holding, and I don't like hand holding. So I guess that like I just wanted to stop there. I give them the profile, kiss them goodbye, and they run off and they figure out, you know, like get a career coach or something to help them figure out. I just give them the results.
Right.
But I don't know if I'm limiting myself or.
Okay. Okay, cool. So then your model is built around doing assessments.
Yes, that's what I love. I love giving people assessments and delighting them with the results.
Right. Whereas, like, which makes you and I different, because I like doing that, and then I like hanging out with them for a really long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, so far the people on my list that I've worked with so far, they're my friends, like they're more like friends.
Right.
But I guess I'm comparing this unfairly to my web design business, where the clients just are just crappy. But with this, I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind talking with people, because I love doing this, and there's no choice. Like, you know, like web design, it's and the client can pick and choose, whereas with this, it's no pick and choose. It's like I'm the boss and I'm telling them that this is this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and you're okay. Well, I'll just share some things that I'm seeing.
Yes.
And, you know, there's no like right and wrong here. I'm just, any insights that are coming up are just sort of insights based on what I see in your natural design. And
yes.
I think I might understand why you don't want to talk to people as much. Let me just see, because
it's just a phone. Like, I mean, I love standing in front of a group and giving presentations, but when it comes to phone, I just don't. It's too intimate. It's too. Maybe it's my Enneagram 5 acting up, but I just don't like talking to people on the phone.
Yeah, I mean, I have Enneagram 5 and I love talking to people, but although I do spend a lot of time alone to balance it. But yeah, too intimate. Okay. Well, here's a few pieces. So I just this is one of the things that trips everyone up is they look at things that, and this is one of the problems with the structure and anything practical in our business, is we often just look at what we've seen. We only know what we've seen. We don't know anything beyond that. And so, and as you know, Karlene, and also Maria, we explore all the practical pieces, like the structure, the profit pathways, and all that stuff in Scale Naturally. Like it's a big topic, right? It's not like a short quick little thing.
Yes.
However, I can look at what you're doing and see what the challenge is based on your gifts and your brand essence. So we'll do that. So, but the first thing I want to start with is that you don't like being on the phone.
Right.
That's a very big distinction between I don't like talking to people, because you like talking to people in person. So that's an example. Like, you might see lots of people doing all this phone coaching and phone work, and you're like, hell no. But that doesn't mean there isn't anything else to your model.
Yes.
Right? So just keep your mind open. And I'll share some examples of different pieces, different kind of people I've seen with some of the similar gifts that you have and why some of this resistance might be coming up.
Okay.
So first off, you do have a 6 and a 2, and those are the people focused gifts. There are some people who don't have a 6 and a 2, and they really don't want to talk to anyone, in person or not. They're like, no thanks. Or especially if they don't have a 6, a 2, or a 3, then then it's like they shouldn't be around people. Not that there's a should or a shouldn't, but they likely would not want to. But you do have these people-focused gifts, so I wouldn't throw it out entirely.
All right.
I would open your mind to, is there a creative way that I can work with people? And I'll share a couple of thoughts around some possibilities based on the gifts.
Yes.
So you've got so what you're here to do, your career, what you're here to do, the purpose is the 9 and the 4.
Yes.
So 9 does care about people, and it's compassionate, but it's more broad. Like it cares about humanity more so than it cares about an individual at times.
Yes.
So you might be more interested in the world moving to a place where they really know who they are and they're operating from that place.
Yes.
More so than a specific individual, for example.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, that sounds, because I love talking to groups. I give workshops and I love that group, but I don't like working one-on-one with people.
Right. Right.
But, I mean, except for this, but like, as a coach, I don't like.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and you just got to accept that. So often we'll either accept it or think, is there a different way to do it that I would love? Because people in Scale Naturally, we find this a lot, is they throw the baby and the bathwater out rather than the bathwater. Hang on a minute, maybe that's not what you want to do. But so just, I would, in general, if it doesn't feel good, it's likely totally not in alignment, or there's a subtlety that's not in alignment. So I'm going to give an example. So for a lot of years, I did this program called Freedom to Thrive, and it had group coaching calls. So everybody in the group would show up, and then they would ask a question, and then I would answer the question one at a time. Well, this actually, I don't really like doing that. I love my clients, I love the content, but that actual structure I didn't like. So I could have easily thought, oh, I don't like working in groups.
Yes.
Which is not true. I do the Facebook Lives in my communities, and they're one of my favorite things that I do. So questions are submitted ahead of time, and then, or not, it doesn't matter. There seems to be like a theme. So I show up, and then ideas come in. I respond to the questions, or I'm just like, hey, what is the message for today? And it starts this big conversation with me speaking on Facebook Live and people responding to questions I ask as I go through. Yeah. And there's some magic that happens. Like some of them have been so freaking powerful, and I'm like, where in the hell did this come from? I have no idea any of it was going to happen before we showed up. Yeah. So that's it. And how I feel after all of them. And I've had the Own It community for it's almost 2016. It's coming up on 3 years. Yeah. And I love it. And every month I'm doing this, and I haven't not got bored of it. And I'm not like, oh God, I got to do that. Like it's like, yeah. Hey. So that's an example. What I'm talking about is sometimes it's a tweak, like, yes. And sometimes it's just like, no, that thing goes entirely. Like one-on-one, it makes sense to me why one-on-one isn't so much a part of your model. You have a 2, but it's coming from an 11. It's not just a 2. Yeah. So I was at this event, this joint venture event with like all these different people who have successful businesses. And there were 2 people in the room who had a 22-4. I just knew it based on their name. Yeah. And these 2 people, one of them has a business that's 100% based on referral and helping like get other people referrals and you referrals to grow your business, which is 2. That's a 2, which is one-on-one. It's like, oh, here, you've got to go to my friend Suzanne's workshop. And it's like a whole system that helps you create referrals. So she had a 22. Totally obvious, right? So that's an example. The other person has a successful outsourcing company where it's like organization of people where you can get help. So it's like, these are more obvious kind of things. but those are like 22, like double 2. Yours
Yes.
is a 2 that's only coming out of the 11. And it's kind of a challenge when it shows up in that way at times, because you have to master the 2
Yeah.
as well. So there might be some type of issue you have with doing one-on-one that may actually come from not just preference.
Yes.
Like I don't know, maybe I don't know what exactly it could be, but like relationship stuff. Like, I mean, 2 is my biggest challenge of all time. So there's endless challenges that could be there. And I also happen to love to like one-on-one. However, it could be easy, like anyone's stuff, anyone's issues can show up in one-on-one conversations.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that's the case, but it can happen. So it's good to not just to just be aware that there might be some issues you might need to work through as well. Not saying you should do one-on-one, just know that there might be something contributing to that. And if you resolve the issues, you might be drawn to doing a little one-on-one. Who knows? Or only with certain kinds of people. And
Yes.
Karlene, from what I remember, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you have worked with a lot of non-ideal clients. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, as a web designer, yes. So
as a web designer, but that's still a big deal, because you could have been a web designer working with your favorite clients.
Yes.
And you didn't. So that kind of makes me think, oh, maybe the 2 thing has something to do with something inside that has you attracting people who don't understand you.
Right.
Or you don't like them, like, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Because you've already had that experience, right?
Yes.
And non-ideal clients are the absolute worst thing in a business. Like, there's nothing worse than a non-ideal client. They undermine your confidence. They make you think, why the hell am I even doing this? They can cause you to feel like you should close your business down. Yeah. That's how bad they are. It's like kryptonite. Like, you want to avoid them like the plague.
Yeah.
As much as possible. Even if they have a bunch of money to give you, no thanks, please move along.
Yes.
So there might be some like baggage and some stuff you've been carrying from that.
Yes.
Understandably, because you're human, but also where in your past, this is if you did decide to explore this deeper, is there anything in your past that where you didn't feel as accepted, or you felt not as understood as you'd like? Which I imagine, based on the fact that you like understanding people and you're a 5 and all that.
Right.
Enneagram. Right. So so it might be something to explore. And aside from that, that's not the biggest thing. It would be different if you had like 2 in a regular spot, like not just an 11/2. Yes. And you're like, I don't like one-on-one. Then I'd be like, oh, really? This is probably a big deal for you to go deal with this. Where for you, it is a big deal, because until you master that 2, the one-on-one relationships, the 11 doesn't activate as fully as it could. So it means you have to learn to be in your power and be sensitive, to not be ruled by others, to not go into the back seat if someone wants something.
Right.
So that's an aside. So, but what you are saying, when I look at your natural design, you've got a 4 and a 9 in the career positions.
Right. And
the particular kind of 4 that you have is a 31/4. So I'm going to give you, there's one obvious example of this, and I know many personally and past clients who have a 31/4. Do you have a 31/4, Maria?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I have a 4. I don't know where it comes from. Let me take a look.
Yeah, I feel like I know you've got a 9 as well, but.
I got 2 9s.
Yeah. Yeah, if you see the last one, I'll share what I see with this 31/4.
Yes.
Examples of it. One that everybody in the world knows, pretty much. And then the essence of that and why that might. I'm not sure exactly how it'll show up for you, but yeah. So 31/4. So 4 is like practical, it's systems.
Right.
Like you have a process, obviously, to arrive at this destination.
Right.
Where people can get clear. So there's a process there, but it's also like, if you think of 4 as like a structure, 4, okay, I'm going to give an example and then we'll see. I know it's not going to relate 100% to you, but it does kind of talk about the resistance to one-on-one.
Okay.
So one of the most famous 31 fours is Oprah.
Yeah.
So when I see that, she's obviously very four.
Yeah.
Like she has a gigantic like team and company, and then she has like a TV network. There's so much four that goes on to run that whole thing, and that has been running that thing for a long time. There's for sure it's not just, she's not just flying by the seat of her pants, you know.
Yeah.
Not at all. Like that's not, even if she follows her intuition, she's not flying by the seat of her pants. However, when you look at what she's done over the years with her show, she created a structure, which is the show, for expression. So, and most of the expression was not her own expression.
Right.
So this is just not that yours shouldn't be, but just to take a note of what it can look like. So Oprah, she created this platform where she would share, and the 3 is the sharing and the 1 is the new. She was talking about things like sexual abuse when no one would even, like, it was such a thing that you would never talk about. And she's like, she interviewed pedophiles, you know, like she's bringing us to the future. Like, you guys got to wake up. This is where we're going. We have to face this stuff. And she brought a lot, like, so she was very revolutionary and new. So it's like, so we can see that, but she did that by sharing other people's messages.
Right.
And even her book, there's this book that I picked up of hers, and it was like, blah, 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 this nice message from Oprah. And I was like, oh, cool, this book is by Oprah. No, everything else is by someone else.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh, you mean then her new book, the one that she published recently?
The Clear Path, something with paths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it that one? Okay,
yeah.
I listened to it on audio,
But like, so the first part is like Oprah, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like Oprah wrote a book on purpose. No, she wrote like a paragraph or a chapter, and then everyone else contributed.
Right.
And so why I'm sharing this is to just get your mind out of the idea of like even just one-to-one helping people. It's like, who knows how this 31-4 can show up.
Right.
And when I look at overall, you've got the 11, which is inspiring, which Oprah also has one of those. She also has a 6. Anyway.
Yeah.
In her tone. So you've got this inspiration. You've got 5, which is freeing people. So you very likely like to help free people. It's like, well, this is you. So be that. And 9 is also related to purpose, as is 7. So freeing people to just, I believe being who you are is your most fundamental purpose. The way you are for a reason. But then you've got this 9 and this 4 and this 3. So the 3 is expression, and it can be your expression. But what we found is super common is that the 4 sometimes likes to express itself in person.
Okay.
So, because 4 is like physical, it's not just process and stuff like that, or structure. It's also physical. Like some people, like Maria, and food. You know, food is a physical thing.
Yeah.
Health, the body. Or just being in person. So Michaela has a 4, and our favorite way to do Scale Naturally is in person. We did online versions, but that's her favorite place.
Yeah, me too.
I love them. And at the same time, I don't have a 4, I don't feel the need to do it, but I love it, you know?
Yeah.
So it makes sense when you combine a 4 and a 3, it's like in-person speaking. Like that makes sense. Total sense. Also, the nature of 4 is that you can create structures where you don't have to be there. Okay. So, like as an example, and I'm not saying this is something you should do, but just as an example, having a software that did all the things that you're doing.
Yes.
Right? Like you're doing it all right now, and a software could easily do that. Not easily, you'd have to invest a bunch of money and create it, but just as an example. Or so 4 likes to create things where you can build upon it. So it's like the bricks. If you're building a house, there's like, you put all the bricks and you build a house. It's like a builder kind of energy.
Yes.
So that's the part of you that's likely like, I can't just do the one-on-one. Like I got to build something here. And
Yes.
that you're not building anything if it's a 101, 101, 101. That's not building.
Right.
It's not building. And 4 is your biggest gift. It's your most
Right.
important one.
Yes.
So yeah. So it makes sense what you're saying. However, your assessment is 101, right? Like not 101, but it's like one at a time.
Yes.
And it's very in depth. It sounds.
Yes, it's very, very deep. Yes.
Yeah. So then it's like, is there a way to do some of your assessment in a group, in person, for example?
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I just can't figure out how to do it. You know, like I want to, my biggest wish at the moment is just to gather a group and just do what I do one-on-one in a group setting, because I prefer group. I just can't figure out how to do that because the results are so individual.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's not like I can show them how to do this because it's you know, I have to do it. It's like
Right
you
now
know,
you have to do it.
yeah,
Right now
I'm
you
the one
have
to
to do it because you don't have a software and you haven't pulled the system out of your head.
Yeah, because it's something that a human being has to, you know, it's something like a human being has to sort of do.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe, but
Yeah, okay.
maybe. There's so many things I thought I had to do myself. So I started off doing these healing sessions for a lot of years in my business. And I thought everyone is unique, so I have to do it one-on-one.
Yeah.
And then I realized, well, crap, there's a process here. And very likely, Karlene, you have a process. It's just that it seems complex and there's probably a lot of moving parts to it.
Yes.
But there's likely a process, and I'm not saying you should teach it, but you potentially could. So I would not rule that out.
Okay.
There's a lot. Once I got leverage and teaching, once I turned that healing process that I didn't know was a process, it was just something I was doing with clients. Once I turned it into a process,
Yes.
and then taught it, I was like, well, why the hell am I doing this for everybody? Like, I can teach them to do it. You may or may not be able to do it with what you have, but also there's potential for software to do it. So, and I don't know, I was just at this event, they're talking about artificial intelligence, and I'm like, I don't have any clue what that is. But I imagine at some point in the future, there's someone who can replicate what you're doing.
Yeah, that's scary.
I know, right? I don't get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah. There's probably a process, but here's what I'm curious about. So for me, I've managed to create natural design as this simplified thing. Like everyone has 7 numbers. I mean, some people have a few more, like you, like with the 11 brings a 2 involved.
Yes.
But I've turned it into something simple. But for you, because yours is so long and so complex, is there a part of it that can be pulled out and looked at?
Well, for example, like, you know, the first 5 parts, it's mainly multiple choice. But then part 6 is where I ask them, you know, give me your background, you know, and I ask them to list 10 things they hate doing, 10 things they love doing. And then I have the process where I pick out the top, what they hate doing. I have to look at the top to look at that to see that it's not, the career that I'm thinking of for them, it doesn't include these 2 things. Like if they have the top 2 things as I hate talking to people or I hate computers, then I have to make sure that the thing that I'm choosing for them does not have, I mean, if it has these 2, it's only these 2 and not more than 2. So that's why it's like it needs a human being in that respect.
Right, but yes, which I get. But the human being can be in person. So I guess what I'm asking is, to get creative, you do this whole full thing that gets to the answer, but is there a part of it you can pull out? Like, so for example, I could pull out just the career gifts. And I know that it's different than what you're doing, but is there a part of this you can pull out, or does every little tiny thing add to one big picture that doesn't have parts?
Yeah. Okay, so when you say pull out, do you mean discard?
Oh, no, I mean use like focus on that. Like, let's say, okay, so for example, having a workshop where you did this for everyone and you did the whole big thing, that to me feels like a big thing.
Yes.
Based on what you've shared, it might not be. Maybe I'm not catching that, but it seems like a big thing. So is there a part of that, a portion of that you could focus on as like a first step?
Yeah, well, at the moment it's the Enneagram.
Right.
You know, like that's what I love.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's an example. So you could have an Enneagram workshop, and
Right.
then from there you could lead them to an Enneagram or to a next step, which is the rest of it, which is
Yes.
either private or maybe that's group. Like maybe there's other pieces where you could look at it as a group.
Yeah, that's how I'm trying to structure it at the moment, where I give the workshops, where I sort of delight them. Well, this is Donald Trump. He's a 3 and not a 3, he's an 8, and that's why he's a bully and blah, 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 and just to delight them, and
Yeah.
and then I say, okay, at the end, work with me to find out what you should do with your life. Yeah.
Right. Right. But then not work with you because you don't want to work with them. Right.
Well, yeah, it's like, the way I structured it is that it's by email. So I set it up in Thinkific. And yeah, so they do the assessment in Thinkific, and then as they get the results, I tally it together, and then when I give them the results by PDF.
Okay.
So in other words, I only talk to them once on the phone to make sure they're a good fit, and then after that, I don't talk to them again.
Right.
Yeah.
So yep, that makes sense. So work with me through this program where they get this summary, this
yeah. So that's how I do it.
Assessment.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so they do the assessment by Thinkific, and then they send the results, and I tell them and I send it by PDF. And so I don't really talk to them after that first call to make sure that they're a good fit and that they know that I'm very unconventional and that I'm not conventional, and so there's no disappointment.
Okay, cool. Yeah, totally. Okay, so that's so those are just pieces. It makes sense that you're not feeling drawn to doing as much one-on-one. Although you have a 6, and 6 is often it likes community and groups. So I can see that showing up in person in groups for sure.
Right.
But there is a challenge, practically speaking, there can be a challenge with having just a one-off thing, unless your workshops are a big, you're making money from the workshops and then from the assessments, then that can happen.
Yeah. That's why I'm asking, because I'm not sure,
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if this was more appropriate for the Scale It group versus the Own It, but that's,
Yeah. Well, it's the difference, in Own It, we can speak to little things here and there, but in Scale Naturally, we design it from the foundation. It's a creative process where you have a foundation of your natural design. It's not, we don't tell people what to do. So me sharing insights of why that may or may not be good or bad is fine, but Scale Naturally is more let's make it solid. Let's actually have something freaking 100% aligned rather than is it or is it not kind of thing. This is kind of where we're coming from. My curiosity, let me just see. There's something else I was looking at.
Sorry, do you know the Tarot Lady? You know her, the Tarot Lady, right?
What do you mean?
Tarot Lady. Do you know her?
Is that a title she has?
Yeah, that's her. Yeah, I thought maybe you know her. What's her name? Her name's Susan, but she's called the Tarot Lady.
Okay,
she earns a 6-figure income, the Tarot. Okay, because I liked her business model, and that's sort of what I'm doing, where you send your question and she gives a reading, and So my only question Karlene, maybe, but maybe not. My question that comes to mind is you've got the 11, which is an inspiration. Yeah. So, which can happen through marketing as well. You don't just have to inspire through speaking or clients, but it's, so is there an outlet for your inspiration? And is there an outlet for your inspiration? Number one, is the humanitarian aspect of you being does it feel like it's giving enough? Because 9 sometimes likes to have a broader impact, just like 11. Yes.
So those are questions I have that don't totally match your model. It's
but I can answer. Yeah, sorry, I can answer them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the humanity aspect. I want to have a social enterprise. And ironically, a workshop has come up 2 days ago that starts next month, and I applied for a scholarship where it's a part-time, 2 month, once a week, where they teach you how to create a social enterprise. Because I've been on this for years. I want something that it's going to make a difference, like a social enterprise. So that's one aspect. So that's where the humanity will come in. Right now, I'm not using it too much, apart from doing workshops in the community and my workshop that I gave last year on technology. I'm not using my humanity as much as I want to.
Right.
And you asked about the outlet. Sorry, what was the question about the outlet?
Yeah, so for your 11, which is like inspiration and illumination and shining a light in the world, and your humanitarian. So the 11, do you feel like has an outlet?
My book, I'm finally going to get my book like out in the world in January. Like I wrote the book 10 years ago and it's just sitting on my hard drive. It's all, and I just happened because I mean, I did it as traditional self-publishing. There's like, I can just put it on Amazon. There's a process I have to go through.
Yes.
It's traditional. Like, I mean, I'm actually the publisher, not just, you know, those, and it's not vanity. It's like real, true self-publishing. So there's a process to go through.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I get the book out, then I guess I'll have to get out of my shell and start. But no, I'm not doing that as much as I should be doing at the moment. That's the work.
Okay, so so that's a great example of like inspiration that's physical. It's a book.
Yes.
It's a book. So inspiration that's physical, that makes sense. I could, and when it depends, let me see your brand essence. So Taurus, Capricorn rising, Moon in Pisces, Mercury Taurus, Mars in Aries, midheaven Libra. Okay, so this might be it as well. So yeah, I mean, this isn't the most optimal way to talk about these things because of what I described. Usually we don't, in Scale Naturally, we aren't like, hey, you should do this. It's like, you go through the exploration process and the creative process, and then a model comes out that's like super solid and it captures everything. So things I'm sharing here, it's not going to capture everything at all. Like there's no chance. There's no chance of that. But I'm just kind of sharing any flags or things that I see.
Okay.
So the four in you, it has something, even a social enterprise. Well, first of all, it still has a model to it. So how does the model change from what it is to what it then becomes? You still want to make sure it's in alignment with all of your gifts. But the 4 wants to create something substantial. It doesn't just want to have just, I mean, the 4 might want to do more than just one-on-one.
Right.
Which is what you've been speaking to.
Right.
It probably wants leverage to leverage the message that you have.
Right.
There's lots of ways to do that, endless ways to do that, including like a podcast or being interviewed on podcasts about your book, for example.
Right.
Because then the message is getting out in this bigger way, and then people can filter into your work, your assessment or your workshop. If you have the right pieces in place for that to happen.
Yes.
So yeah, and you can share the inspiration that way. So once you publish a book, then it's easier to speak. So you could speak.
Right.
Would be another way. Yeah, so there's for sure potential there. And with podcasts, typically your midheaven is what shows up. Okay. Unless you're being interviewed by someone that you know, then your rising would show up. So there's a big difference between a Capricorn and a Libra.
Okay.
They both kind of like to network, but Libra is more communication, where Capricorn is more like, let's create, like, let's get down to work, you know, like or like, let's connect so that my business can move forward and so can yours. Like that's a Capricorn versus a Libra is more like a schmoozer and like, oh, like, let's talk about it. It's more communication oriented. So it could be that you having more of this global type of, or broader audience rather than just smaller, like for example, you have the book and then you speak or you do podcasts, that might be more aligned, for example.
Okay. So you're saying for the Libra, it's more schmoozing, and the Capricorn, it's more let's get to work. So how does that translate as far as the podcast? Like
if you're on a podcast, you don't know who the audience is.
Right.
Which means your midheaven is active. So which is cool because then your midheaven likes to talk.
Yeah.
Capricorn, it likes to talk with a purpose. Like you know, like I'll talk, but it's got to have a purpose to it, and it's got to be taking me somewhere as a Capricorn. Where Libra, that could work out really well in public appearances or media, where you don't know the people who are on the other end.
Okay.
Yeah, and Capricorn is just not as much like that. So yeah. I'm seeing your Mars, Karlene, is Aries. So
Yes.
that's your passion. So that there's a part of it where it's like you like to help people go into new territory and take care of themselves and do something that, do who they are rather than what someone tells them to do, because it's about independence and all of that.
Right. Yes.
Going on your own path, walking your own path, making your own choices.
Yes.
So yeah, that's there. And then also the nature, so that it's the Mars energy
Yes.
is your drive and your passion. And the thing about the particular energy of Aries, which is fire, is it's not like a consistent fire. It's more like a match. You light it, psh, and then it goes out, Whereas
Yes.
Leo is like this bonfire. You got this giant fire, and it's not going to stop going because it's fixed.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that can, and let's say, for example, someone had their Venus, their love sign in Libra,
Yes.
or sorry, in Aries. Those people have a hard time committing because it's just like, whoa, that's so exciting, and then okay, bye. So
Yeah.
that also kind of connects to what you're saying with these clients. It's like, all right, we're done. Come on, like moving on. Like, where's the new person? Because it likes fresh and the new. So that could be a big contributor to this, and that's a really aligned, congruent thing.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense.
But my Venus is not in.
No, that was an example.
Oh, that was not okay.
Just to describe the nature of Aries. So,
Yes.
because you're like, okay, I did your assessment. All right, like get the hell out of here. I'm done with you.
Yeah.
The excitement is over.
Yeah.
And same thing if someone has a love sign in Aries, they're kind of the same with their love nature, where they're like, oh, I just love you, you're amazing, and then, oh, I'm okay, I'm bored, bye. So I've seen that.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's that kind of nature. So I just want to point that out, that it makes sense. So then you have to have continual newness and excitement. So
Yes.
having lots of assessments makes sense. So yeah, it could be that your reach and like your profit pathway, which is like how people come to you, they reach you through these more broad ways, like media or like speaking, for example.
Okay.
The only way you're going to make this model work is if you have a high quantity. That's the only way it's going to work.
High quantity of people.
Yeah, because like I had like you're not going to be charging like $5,000 for the assessment, I don't imagine.
No.
So that like it'll be it's not going to be super extremely expensive. So that means you need more of them to make enough income.
Right.
And what that means, and this is the risk in the model, it's not a bad thing, but you just need to know what that means. Because I did single sessions was my first model. Yes. And that was the wrong model for me, like 100%. Like I need so much time alone, and also I like hanging out with people and I like being on their journey over time. Yes. There's so much I have to share. It's not like it's just like, okay, check mark, I'm done. It's different. However, if I was to make that model work, because people come and then they go, you need a lot of them. Right. So there's one thing to note about that is to know that in order to make this model work, you have to get internally on board with having a big reach.
Yes.
And that's not easy, but if it's meant for you, then you'll do it. You can do it. Okay. If that's how your model is supposed to work. There's so many other ways, Karlene. This, again, like, I'm only talking based on what you've shared. There's infinite freaking ways to structure things. Which I obviously can't cover right now.
As long as there's hope for me.
There's hope. There's hope for sure. And it's just, there's a concern about it. So that's why I'm sharing it. If this is going to be your model, if you're like, this is what I'm doing, then number one, you have to know that because people are coming in and going out, you got to maximize that. In order to make an income from that, you have to have lots of people coming in, ideally. And secondly, another way to help with the monetization of that is that when people leave, you can send them to someone and make a JV commission. So I would line up like the career coaches, the whoever that are your trusted people that you really like. Yes. That as soon as you're done with these people, that you can send them their way. Yes. Another way to do this, and that's something that's really good when you have a 6 and a 2, because you can have these long-term relationships with people, and they love you because you send them clients, and you love them because they pay you money when they send you clients. When you send them clients, there's another thing as well, which is what happens before that. Before that. Yes. So one way to do it is you have tons of reach. Another way is you have a solid stream of potential clients.
Okay.
So you have someone who's ahead of you who's like, okay, these people need your help. And it might even still be the career coaches. It might be like a two-way thing. You know, it might be that they're like, hey, or I don't know, some kind of person, a career coach. Yeah. So people come to them, they don't do this assessment part, but they do the like, hey, let's get practical.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
then maybe they send them to you whenever they reach a certain stage.
Yes.
You know, like that's another. So that's one way is if you have solid people coming in and then potentially solid people going out and getting paid for the people who leave.
Yes.
Or you have a really broad reach. And that could work because you've got the 11, you've got the 9, and you've got the 4. So there's for sure capacity for that. Like if someone was extremely high too, they didn't have an 11 or a 9, well, or a 4, I wouldn't be really talking about that. I'd be like, it's really concerning. You might want to work with them longer, kind of thing. So yeah, those are just some thoughts, Karlene, and obviously there's a lot there, and please don't take everything, like I'm only giving you little insights. I don't have the big picture. I don't have enough, because the big picture has to come from you.
Okay.
And there's only so much time we have here today. Yes. To even think about, and yeah. And
my goal or my dream is to get into the Scale It program whenever that time comes. So.
Totally. And we haven't shared this with anyone yet, but we have created, we've only done it in the past as like done with you, like with a retreat. Yes. And then we had like one online done with you, which is still higher ticket because it's Michaela and I. Yes. And it's really, we're freaking by your side and we love it. So recently we came up with a way to do it that's like really leveraged, where it's more like do it yourself with group support. So there is an option that's not like super high ticket. So so just know, which is cool because we haven't had that before. Yes. And there's still support from Michaela and I because it's not like a completely do it yourself, you know, but so that's one of your goals. I look forward to seeing you in there. And for the time being, I think it's important for you, Karlene, there's two things that are standing out really strong to me. Number one, you've got to get clear on your ideal clients, and you have to start picturing that you only have ideal clients. I love my clients. There are people I talk to, I'm like, no. There's a woman I talked to and I was talking about this like own it community, and I was like, no, like I didn't invite her. You know, I'm like, no, I can't. You don't, no, like you don't have enough integrity based on some things you said. And no, I don't, no. Yes. So don't say no to the no's, and start to picture your reality having ideal clients. And by the way, a little clue for your ideal clients, that you doing work around work makes a ton of sense. Like their purpose and stuff, because you've got 2 Tauruses and a Capricorn. And Taurus and Capricorn is all about the work. So my sister's a Taurus, and we can talk about work. We can talk about money. We can talk about that stuff because we get it, you know, and we're just on the same wavelength. So that makes a ton of sense. Yeah, it's really a good focus for you. And also the Aries is new beginning. So people are likely coming to you because they have a new beginning they want to start. Right. Yeah, I do have a question. Yeah, that's the part I didn't understand because I did all the exercises. You said what the clients want from me. So I did everything, and I wasn't sure how to calculate what clients want from me. How do I do that? Yeah, and that's a lot from your brand. I mean, it's your gifts, because the gifts we have are what we're here to give. Right? Yes. We're here to give our gifts, which means who's going to be on the other side of our gifts? Well, you've got a 9, which is like, there's probably an ending that you help people create. Yes. But then there's a new beginning. So you've got an ending and a new beginning. You help people, the bright spotlight that you have, the 11, shines on them, and it shows them who they really are, which then helps them stop being who they're not and get on creating a new career that's a match. Can you see that? Yes. And the practical steps. So which here's an interesting version of 4, is you're taking who they are, and then you're like outputting here is who you are. It's in like a thing.
Yes.
So that's very 4-like, especially that it's a PDF. Like natural design is just, there's no PDF right now.
Yes.
One day it will likely become a software with an epic app that I'm super pumped about, but that is not today.
Yeah.
But we'll replicate what we're going to do in the app in Own It coming up, because it's super freaking awesome, which we're starting
Okay.
next month.
All right. Okay.
But so that makes sense.
All right. So so in other words, I should look for clients who want a new beginning, end what they're doing. And like, that's the part I didn't understand, because I was trying to calculate from my brand essence how to know who I should work with.
Yeah, and I was just mentioning that you can also look at your gifts for some clues.
Yeah.
So the fact that you have a 9, typically 9s, people who have 9, and Maria has 9 as well. Typically people who have 9, there's this quality of like, just let it go, like, or stop doing that crap that's just causing you pain and problems.
Okay.
You know, like stop eating that way, or stop whatever. It's like, stop doing this.
Yes.
And you have a 1. Do you have a 1 too as well, Maria?
Yes. Oh, sorry, you're talking.
I have 11 too.
11 as well, yeah. Yeah, so it's like when you have the 11 and the 9, you're shining a light on what's wrong for people.
Yes.
And showing that, hey, it can be done a different way.
Yeah.
So,
and I also have a 1.
Yes, and you have a 1, which is a new beginning. You've got the 9 and the 1. Here's end the old, new beginning. The 1 is like the Aries as well. So end the old, new beginning. So people in transition.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
They're not going to be like, I love things the way they are. Hi, Karlene, can you please help me? No, that's not what it's going to be. They're likely, and because of, for the brand essence, and then we'll wrap after this, you typically attract people who have, so if you take a look at brand essence, you typically attract people who have some of what you are fairly strong already, but who are lacking other parts of it. So one example is they're very career oriented. They're Taurus, they're Capricorn, Aries is even fairly ambitious. So they have that ambition, but what they're lacking is the Pisces. The Pisces is going into the depths. It's like, who am I inside? The practical people are just like, just give, what do I do? And then I'll do it. That's how they operate. Just like, all right, let's just do it. Let's do it. But then they're like, but what do I do? So then they need you, because you have the knowing, and you can look inside to their emotions and their motivations and their drives and all that.
Yes.
To see beyond. So that makes a ton of sense. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's really aligned with what you're doing, which is cool, because you had, it's aligned, and that's good. It's not off. It doesn't make sense. So that's really cool.
Okay.
Which is how it should be. It's usually that way, but it's nice to have the confirmation.
All right.
Yeah, cool.
So I guess I'd have to now create my marketing material to reflect this. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, kind of like, are you in a time of transition? Like maybe you got laid off your job, or maybe it just really feels like it's time for a change, but you have no idea what it is.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's an example of what would appeal to your type of client.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And and then you'll help them see more of who they are in their full capacity or capabilities, strengths, whatever, to find a career or to help them find their next career move, or to help them understand more about themselves so that they can make their next career move from an informed place.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're not going to do it for them. Like, that's not, just like us. We don't do anything for our clients.
Yes.
Okay, well, there's the doorbell. I know that it's time. Okay, so.
Okay, all right.
Yes, and Maria, I would love to hear, just hold on 1 second. In a sec. I'd love to hear from Maria your thoughts before we read.
Just kind of what you said at the very beginning about 4, where you create something and it sort of self-sustains. It just keeps going on its own. Like, that sounds awesome.
Cool, right? And that's the capacity you have, because that's what you're made for, So it's like, let's use that. And to not use that is a freaking waste, right? So, and same with Karlene. We don't know what it looks like for you, Karlene, but know that capacity is there.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Big hugs, everyone. We'll talk soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.